I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
All right, welcome back into the show. Former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows is suing members of the January 6th committee and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi in response to their calls to hold the former White House Chief of Staff in criminal contempt, a move that could go to the Justice Department for possible criminal charges as early as next week. Mark Meadows is joining us now. Mark, good morning. Great to have you back on.
It's great to be back with you. Obviously, I wish it were under different circumstances, but, you know, as we look at this particular day, it's all about executive privilege and the president's top senior advisors, and should they be compelled to have to break that executive privilege that Donald Trump has claimed? I say no, and that's why we've filed the lawsuit.
Yeah, Mark, you're in sort of an untenable spot right now between this select committee, this Democrat-led select committee, and really your former boss, the 45th president. So the select committee is still investigating what happened on January 6th. You were cooperating in some capacity with that committee until Tuesday. What changed? What happened?
Well, we've always been, as a good citizen, willing to cooperate in terms of non-privileged information. President Trump made it very clear that he was claiming executive privilege, and we honored that. We have been consistent with that for many, many months, and we've been working with the committee to try to work on an accommodation. What we found was not only were they still going to ask questions and try to delve into those things that are protected by executive privilege, but then we also found, unbeknownst to us, a subpoena that was sent to my cell phone carrier that was so broad in scope that it defies logic on how it could have any legislative intent. And they did that without notifying us. We felt at that point that the courts, as you mentioned, this is a position between a rock and a hard place. The courts are designed to solve these things. So that's why we filed suit against Nancy Pelosi and the members of the January 6th Commission.
Okay, so what's fascinating to me, Reuters put out a report not long ago. According to the FBI said, quote, there was scant evidence, basically no evidence, of an organized plot to storm the Capitol on January 6th. So if the Select Committee does find the same thing, do you think they'd make those findings public?
Well, you would certainly hope so. I can say that most of what we're seeing and reading in the press seems to be selective leaks. Obviously, I was a member of Congress, served in Congress. I highlight that, you know, in my new book, The Chief's Chief, and some of that interaction that I had even with President Trump back then. But I can tell you that one of the concerns that I have is that every member of this select committee has already voted to impeach Donald Trump. And so to be neutral arbiters of the truth, it's very troubling. Hopefully, the courts will hear our lawsuit. Hopefully, they'll weigh in. I can tell you that you're right. They're saying that they're going to hold a contempt vote possibly as early as next Tuesday on the House floor. Nothing I've done would rise to criminal contempt, but I obviously are going to have to throw my on the mercies and graces of the courts, hopefully, to weigh in.
Absolutely. And you repeatedly offered to answer written questions on topics that you deemed what they call non-privileged, which makes sense. A lot of this, though, does remind me of the Steele dossier, that 5-year fake Russia investigation, that Russia collusion investigation. The committee is looking for some kind of pre-planned plot by Viking Man and that guy who put his feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk, just like the Russia collusion investigation. It might not be there.
Well, I would go even further than that. I'm not aware of anybody in the West Wing that had any advanced knowledge. I've said that publicly before. Any advanced knowledge that there would be a breach of security at the Capitol on January 6th. And when we see what happens, we can all condemn the fact that they should not have breached the security. They should have peacefully and patriotically, as the President Trump talked about, let their voices be heard. And yet we see a narrative out there. Sadly, January 6th continues to be what so many Democrats talk about, perhaps not talking about inflation and Russia and Iran and all the other problems we have in the country is their primary focus to take away from the abysmal record of this Biden administration.
I always find it fascinating when investigations don't give you an idea when the investigation will be complete. I have a sense that it might wrap up right around late October, early November 2022. That's what I think this is really all about. Mark Meadows, come back and see us next week. We appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you.
Great to be with you. Thanks so much. Take care. God bless.
You too. Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.